Hey kids, it's the Distant Fly here. Hope you're well. Now, I've owned the splendid Ducati Panigale for incredibly just over 9 months now. I'm still in the sort of love affair stage. I absolutely love the bike. But in that time, I've done some longer rides. I've done lots of short blasts like this. I've done a couple of track days. So I've learned quite a lot about the bike and ownership. So I thought it was time to share with you top 5 things you should know about the Ducati Panigale. So stick around and stay tuned, and I'll tell you all about them. It's basically dark already. Anyway, the first thing that you need to know, number 5 on my list of things you need to know about the Ducati Panigale, is that people just tend to like it, which is a great thing. It's a bit like the Aston Martin effect, you know what I mean, where certain cars and certain bikes have the same issue, are hated or loved by people. So I call it the Aston Martin effect. So for example, you roll up at a garage in a Ferrari, I'm imagining, a lot of people do rude hand signals at you and call you a bit of a, can call you names. However, roll up in that same garage in an Aston Martin and people look at you and say what a lovely car it is, because everybody loves an Aston Martin. Well, I'm glad to say the Ducati seems to fall into that latter camp. It's one of those bikes that seems to be loved by people, which is just great. I mean, I love it, obviously, I think it looks fantastic. But whenever I stop, people do come up and say what a nice bike it is, which gives me a nice glow. And as a GS rider, it makes a real change, because for some reason GS riders are treated as low life, somewhat in the same way as Harley riders are. I never quite get that as far as I'm concerned. A biker's a biker. Anyway, so that's number 5 on my list of things you should know. If you've got a Ducati Panigale, everybody will love it and love you for it, so that's got to be a good thing. The next thing you need to know about the Ducati Panigale, and this particularly applies to the 899, which is the model I've got, is that it's much easier to ride on the road than you may think. You know, slow speed stuff in traffic in town like this, absolutely no problem. It's not like an old Ducati that would complain at low speeds and, you know, you'd be forever on and off the clutch. Okay, you do have to use the clutch, but no more than any other bike, and it's really not a problem in town and in traffic, and actually it's also a very easy bike to filter, so I might as well get past here. Some pre-mum-leaded, let's give you a treat. So the next thing you need to know about the Ducati Panigale is that she actually runs pretty hot, largely due because the way they coil up the big exhaust underneath the seat at the back. It means you get an awful lot of heat on your rear end when you've been riding her for a little bit. I don't find it's a big problem on the 899, especially here in the UK where the weather's not that warm, and in fact it keeps you quite nice and toasty. Although you can't help but think that there's often a bit of a smell of burning when you get off the bike because your textiles have burnt a bit somewhere, which is never a particularly encouraging thing when you're filling the bike with petrol. Okay, so I think that was number 3 on my list. Okay, so the next thing you should know, number 2 on my list, about the Ducati Panigale, is it really is, and this is no surprise, but it really is a fantastic tool on a racetrack. I managed to take this one onto the track twice this year, and hope to again next year. I did a Snetterton day and not a Snetterton day, sorry, I did a Donington day and a Silverstone day. And it was absolutely superb. It really did make me appreciate what this bike is all about. Which is stuff like that, accelerating away. But on roads like this, you just can't really use the bike as it was intended. For all sorts of reasons. It's dangerous and it's illegal. So you've got to get it on the track. Let's get past him. And when you do get her on the track, you just realise how great that engine is. When you keep her in a nice low gear and you get her over 7,000 RPM, the engine just barks into life and the thing just flies. The cornering is amazing on the track. Because you're canted forward on this leant over riding position, it just goes where you think you want it to go, and you literally do, become part of the bike. Everybody says that, but you kind of appreciate it when you really try it on a track. On a road like this, it's great fun, but you really are only scratching at the surface. So that's number 2 of the things you need to know about the Ducati Panigale. Get it on a track, and then you can really see what it can do. So to number 1 on my list of things you need to know about the Ducati Panigale, and that I guess applies to all the Panigales, is that they really aren't as uncomfortable to ride as you might think. When I first bought this bike and when I first test rode it and sat on it, I thought it was going to be horrendously uncomfortable. but after just 2 rides, my bones got kind of used to this riding position, and actually it's not uncomfortable at all. In fact, I would almost go as far as saying it was comfortable. Not quite, but almost. It's certainly, I don't dread getting on it, and I have no problems doing longer rides on it. As I say, I did the tracked up at Donington earlier in the year, which was a good, I don't know, about 120 miles there and back, plus the track day. And I could have ridden more. I wasn't overly fatigued at all, which for a sports bike in such an extreme position is a great thing. So that's number 1 on my list, because that was my biggest fear when I bought the bike, that it was going to be really uncomfortable, but that really isn't the case. What a lovely early autumnal day for a ride. Nothing like a bit of Oxfordshire to clear the soul. Right, so there we are. That's my top 5 things that you really need to know about the Ducati Panigale. Of course, I've got the 899, but I think they probably all apply to the 1299 as well, and other models. There's loads more I could say about the bike. I've really enjoyed owning it for these 9 months, and I'll be doing my 1-year ownership review, I'm sure, in 3 months' time. So stick around and stay tuned for that and get a load more detail. If you've got anything you'd like to add, then please do leave me a comment. Always interested to hear your views, see if I've missed out anything key or important. And I look forward to speaking to you next time. Right now, though, it's time for me to find some lunch here in the splendid Oxfordshire town of Thame. And until I speak to you next time, this has been the Messenden Flyer. Cheerio. Seem to have gained some friends over lunch.